I animated a dance cover of Your Idol in 12 days. Not only that, but I did it without using any AI. You see, I love Kpop Demon Hunters and I've been watching a lot of dance covers for the movie songs on YouTube to the point that I really wanted to make my own. Only one problem. I can't dance. So I thought, why don't I animate my dance cover instead? Going into this, I knew that it was going to be the most difficult challenge I had ever done for this channel. And with Kpop Demon Hunters being such a beloved movie, expectations were going to be through the roof. So how the heck did I do it? First things first, I am a 3D character animator. Now, unfortunately, that means the only thing that I can do is animate. I can't model and I can't rig anything more complicated than a Lego man. So here's how we're gonna solve that. I bought this character rig called Leo by Wonderwell Studios. They don't sponsor me, I wanted to give them a shout out for the rig. And after practicing with Leo for a while, I thought he might just be flexible enough to pull off all the dance moves I wanted. Plus, I mean, look at him, he'd fit right in with the Saja boys. So I had Leo to work with, but now I needed to figure out the choreography. The problem was that I couldn't use Kpop Demon Hunters as a reference because the movie doesn't show the entire dance. Sometimes it cuts to a crowd shot, sometimes it shows close-ups so I can't see what their bodies are doing. So I looked for dance covers on YouTube which show around 30 seconds of full body choreography, and this one by Ellen and Brian was the closest to the original animation from what I could tell. After I had all of that figured out, I could finally begin. I started by loading up a new file and referencing Leo. When you're animating in 3D, you always want to reference, not import your rigs. That's because if the rigger decides that they want to make changes to the rig, you can easily re-reference it and none of your animation will be lost. After giving him something to stand on, I started blocking out the animation. For all the non-animators out there, blocking is basically when you create the most important poses for your character. This is the skeleton for any animation. Nothing will hold up if your blocking isn't done well. Now, the interesting thing about Ellen and Brian's dance cover is that Brian isn't the only one moving. The camera is also moving, which meant that I had to animate the camera as well as Leo. So on the first day, I spent 6 hours just blocking out the first 15 seconds of animation. This is what it looked like by the end of the first day. I made it to frame 345 before I called it a night. For the next 2 days, I kept blocking until the entire section of the dance that I wanted had all the basic movements down. I somehow got gimbal lock like 5 times, which never happens to me, but at least I was able to finish blocking. In total, the animation was 682 frames long, which amounts to 28 seconds. On the 4th day, I discovered that Leo actually has a pose library. It came with facial expressions, hand poses, and most importantly, mouth shapes. Originally, I wasn't going to do any lip sync animation because normally you have to pose each control on the mouth one by one to get the shapes you want, which takes forever. But with the pose library, all I had to do was select the lower half of the face and... yeah, we're doing lip sync now. Day 5. I started polishing the animation by fixing the in-between frames. I wanted to make sure that the movements of the arms formed nice arcs like this, and that you could feel Leo's weight as he moved. A lot of the time when you're transitioning between blocking and full-on animating a character, they can look a little bit floaty, and I wanted to get rid of that weird floatiness as soon as possible. On day 6, I gave the pose library a try and started on the lip sync. This part wasn't so difficult, but it was really tedious and time-consuming. I had to painstakingly scrub through all 682 frames of animation looking for important sounds, select all the mouth controls, make sure I didn't accidentally select something I wasn't supposed to, and then key those controls with the appropriate mouth shapes. I did the same with the hands, making sure that each pose flowed together seamlessly. The eyes and eyebrows were a little bit trickier since I couldn't use the pose library for them. I actually tried using it, but I found the expressions a little too extreme for this particular animation, so that meant I had to pose every single movement of the eyes, eyelids, and eyebrows manually. Which, I mean, I do that with every other rig anyway, but also I was just having so much fun with the pose library, like I was so sad I couldn't use it. By the end of the 6th day, the animation was looking a lot better, but it was still pretty rough. The problem was that I had been staring at it for way too long and I felt like a lot of the mistakes were flying over my head. Because of that, I sent the rough animation to 2 of my fellow animator buddies for critique. They're in the US though, so I went to bed and...
approximately 10 hours later.
Oh gosh, you guys cooked. You did all of this between the 2 of you? Goated friends right there. Goated friends. I spent days 7 through 9 reading all of their comments, fixing any mistakes they found, and really polishing the animation. I also realized that I wanted the video to loop, so I play blasted the current animation, downloaded a royalty-free green screen smoke effect, messed around with the color balance until it was pink, cut it in half, and placed each half at the beginning and end of the video. And that is how I got the smoke effects. Day 10. By then, I was getting really tired and I knew that if I wanted to keep this pace up, I had to finish animating quickly. So I sped through the polishing process until finally I sat back and I watched it and I thought, you know what? This might not be good enough for my demo reel, but it's good enough for YouTube. So I playblasted that version, added music, and then it dawned on me, I should probably render this. I can't post the raw playblast like this, people are gonna clown on me. So I spent the next couple of hours watching tutorials and messing around with the Maya lights until I got some pretty nice stage lighting. I had never done lighting before, so considering that this was my first try, I think I did okay. For those of you who are curious, I ended up with a pretty standard 3-point lighting setup. There's a really intense spotlight coming from the front, a milder pink light in the front left, and a cyan backlight. This looks cursed in my viewport, by the way. After that, I did a quick render test to see if the lights were working, and there was unfortunately a lot of grain on the skin. I tried fixing it in Premiere Pro, but it made the entire animation look AI generated, which meant I had to figure out how to denoise the original render. I ended up having to turn my camera AA up to 8, which fixed the graininess, but it really increased my rendering time. It took me 3 hours that night to render 4 seconds of animation. I made a huge mistake. I rendered up until frame 260, and only then did I realize that the teeth were rendering very poorly. I think there might not have been enough light reaching them. Luckily, the teeth weren't really shown for the first 100 frames or so I didn't have to start from scratch. Here's how I fixed it. I set up a mild white directional light from the front, which helped whiten the teeth. I then restarted the render from frame 101, and after that I blended the renders in Premiere Pro to get a seamless transition between the different lighting setups. However, this fix came at a cost. I lost over 4 hours worth of rendering that day. I managed to catch up on the lost progress, but by the end of the day I had only reached frame 390, just over half of the animation. On day 12, I was a lot more strategic. Instead of setting my computer up to render the whole remaining animation, I did it in batches of 50 frames. That way, if something went wrong, I wouldn't lose as much progress. This was admittedly very slow, but for me, any progress was good progress. The hardest part about rendering was that I had to constantly watch it for anything that could possibly go wrong. So I sat at my computer for 10 hours that day, all in the name of good lighting. By 6:30 p.m., rendering was complete. I did some quick editing and color correction in Premiere Pro, which only took an additional hour. And finally, by the end of the day, my 28-second dance cover of Your Idol was finished. I can't play the actual song in the background because of copyright, but I found some random drums online with a similar beat, so without further ado, here is the final animation. For those of you who want to see the full animation with audio, I'll put a link in both the description and the comments down below. Believe me when I say that it is a lot better with the audio. I am aware that there are still quite a few animation mistakes, and I probably should have taken more time to clean up and refine it, but considering that I did this whole thing in 12 days, I'm happy with the result. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and comment below what you'd like to see next. Also, less than 1% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so make sure to subscribe for more Weird Art content like this. And I think that's it. Bye bye!